And we've come to our last day of mini MINI lessons for figurative language. Today may be the easiest. At one point, I think I said idioms were or onomatopoeia, but today it's repetition. It is a sound device, but it also that sound device if you're listening to some, but you should be able to see it with your eyes. But it's repeating the same words, repetition. So very easy to get here. That's why we're not spending crazy amount of time, but take advantage of the examples again as needed if you need more exposure to models. And if you have questions, obviously reach out and I can help you out more. So look at the example. So lonely, ever so lonely since you left, she wrote. So clearly the word lonely or so lonely, the phrase there, it really emphasizes that importance of that moment. You know, it could have just said, ever so lonely. I'm ever so lonely since you left. Okay, that's fine. But saying so lonely, ever so lonely since you left, it just gives created emphasis. And that's the reason why. If they repeat something, it's not by mistake. Okay, they do it for a reason and it's important. And so that emphasis is the key, as you see there. So take some time and look through these examples. They're repetition in some songs, and you can stop, start, move them, slide them around, skip around. But again, as you need, check those out before the activity in a bit. Okay, now we're moving into the, you're going to need some of these poems here. So the links are here in your slide for the next section. And excuse me, and maybe I can try to put them within here as well as a hyperlink. But you're going to have, there's a website there. You don't have to go find the poems. I found them for you. They're just in the daily slides, so check those out. And you're going to look through them. So skip through these directions because I've already done it for you, okay? So come down here, which stanzas, so look at My Horse and I. Now, stanzas are, if you haven't read many poems, it's kind of like a paragraph in prose and writing in books and stories and essays, but it's kind of like a paragraph of poems. And so find the stanzas that have repetition. Number them. Was it the third or fourth or eighth stanza, second stanza? Which words or phrases do they repeat? What's the author trying to show us by this repetition? So it's probably going to be to emphasize, but what are they trying to emphasize? That's the important one here, so that you see the understanding. So not just identifying, but what's the purpose? Okay. And then ultimately, how is the repetition used differently in the final stanza? So then you'll go to the bottom. How have they changed it up? If they've changed it up, and then put in some notes there. So then we have sea glass, sticks. Some of them ask different things here. Find another spot. So find two different spots of repetition. What's the feeling that we get? Remember that example, lonely, so lonely. Well, that's not going to be a happy, lighthearted poem at that moment anyways. And so what would be the feeling of the poem Sea Glass because of these repetitions? And so just follow these around, in sticks. What's the idea they're trying to get? So really, this is kind of analyzing literature, but poem analysis. But it's finding here's some alliteration. Remember that from the other day? Go back and check your notes and pack it if you need a refresher. But hopefully, you should be good to go. And then ultimately down here, you still have more with those poems. The poems are short; they shouldn't take you too long to go through. But this one today should take longer than some of the previous days, just because we're reading a little bit and then looking. So maybe split screen the poems with this worksheet, and that might help out. Look at the last section here. Repetition in advertisements. Repetition is often used in ads to convince people to buy or use a product. Do a 4-sentence, just 4 sentences, make up an advertisement that uses repetition for one of the products you get to create. A type of candy bar, a type of car, a game, or how about a pet? And so you pick one of those 4, and then you get to write and focus on repetition to help make that advertisement better, instead of just I'm writing your 4 sentences and you ignore repetition. Go back to the examples in the links that I gave you, as well as that first slide about lonely, so lonely. Those are all opportunities for you to see samples and models and, okay, what can I do? And then you have to be a little creative. You have to be a writer in this, since it's a writing activity. So if you have questions, reach out, let me know, but check the models, check this resources, and I'll talk at you soon. Thanks.